Hi, Zizaran here with another video, and I wanted to talk a little bit about what I feel is my main problem with Path of Exile right now. This is something I actually came to realize very specifically, or rather, one of my suggested solutions I came to realize last night on stream. Calandra is a lot of people's least favorite league. And obviously, it started out with like a large amount of problems. And a lot of those problems have been fixed right now. For example, I would say like drops aren't in the worst spot right now. That's not my main problem. My main problem right now is item progression. And I don't know if this is the same for softcore trade players or just softcore in general, but I was playing hardcore trade, and both on hardcore trade and hardcore solo self-found, there is a very, very large item progression problem right now. Crafting is pretty much my favorite thing in the game, or at the very least, one of the favorite things in the game. It really hurts when I feel like it's in a bad place. A large problem right now, I feel like the best way for me to get gear is first, clear the majority of all the white maps, and quite a lot of yellows, while like trying to be very safe, because very early on we have fairly low defenses right now. Spell suppression feels almost mandatory, and I feel like the majority of my characters wants to do spell suppression, determination, grace, and defensive potions, right? And that's just to survive like early maps. With that in mind, I then start clearing all the maps and I unlock essences, and then I choose expedition maybe, right? As another thing. Now, once I've unlocked those, well, the best thing for me to do is to spam even tier 1 maps, right? Whatever you feel is like where you go the fastest, you're still getting some XP, and you level up in low maps to level 90. At level 90, you unlock item level 86 from Expedition, and then once you have the item level 86 gear, you can spam essence crafting on this item level 86 gear. For me, that's not a super enjoyable gameplay loop or a loop of gear acquisition, but I almost feel like that's my only choice, because I don't really feel like there's a riskier option that is more rewarding. I don't know if I'm explaining myself right, but I feel borderline forced to do this because it's just simply the best option available to me, right? Like, it doesn't matter if I'm killing the SSS in a tier 16 or in a tier 1. They're going to be the same. In a tier 1, I'm going to snap it out of existence, and in a tier 16, it has a huge chance of one-shotting me. Part of that big problem is before we had a very, very strong harvest. And what was particularly strong about it, and this is the main reason I wanted to make the video, it's not even about the key prefixes, key suffixes. It's about the filler crafts, because they were insanely nice before. Because if I found a tier 1 harvest before, I could get as many as between 10 and 20, maybe for a bit luckier, even slightly more, but a large amount of random crafts, even things like Reforged Fire, Reforged Chaos, Reforged Defense. But all of those, at a minimum, they were like a bad Chaos Orb that I could reroll gear with, and you don't have that large amount of that early. So even like Reforged Fire on a belt, that's really good. All I need to hit is life, fire resist, and an open suffix. I've already got a pretty good belt for endgame. But even getting that amount of gear right now is a bit annoying. And another thing that I feel like is very, very bad is Reforged More Likely is very, very tuned down now. To the best of our knowledge, well, it was bugged at launch, but now it's supposed to be like 10 times more likely to reroll the same stats. It used to be 90. And I feel like 90 is actually still kind of balanced, because you were never really using those for really, really, really rare stats like, you know, +1 gems or Tailwind, right? You would be literally losing that mod all the time, because you would go from a 0.03% chance to, you know, 0.1. So it's still a tiny chance you're not going to do that. However, if you were crafting things like, let's say you do alteration crafting and you get life, you have fire resist, you regal cold resist, and then you craft spell suppression, then you have a pretty good chance that you're going to get an okay wearable gear in a few tries. However, this is pretty strong, but it does still cost you quite a lot of alterations and regals, so there is a balance there. Like, it's not like harvest ends up being your only step when you're using Reforged More Likely. So I feel like that is slightly balanced, and I would love to see Reforged More Likely buffed a little bit in strength. It also, like, it is good that it rewards you to have game knowledge and understanding how things like that work. And for me, that ended up being the bread and butter of crafting my gear. Now, I want to go back to what I said about things like Reforged Fire, because part of the reason why this feels really bad, like I said, you get 10 to 20 crafts before in Old Harvest, but now, very often, sometimes I would get 0. like 0 reforges. Because if you don't get the blue monster, like the highlighted blue, they're not even guaranteed to drop stuff. I had one harvest where I think I got like 13 or something, 13 or whatever. It was very little. I either got like 0 or 1 craft, and that is very bad because that means that I'm no longer incentivized to spec into harvest because it's so bad early. And I came up with the perfect solution that, in my opinion, fixes all the problems. Harvest should scale by item level. So I don't think it needs to scale that you can mega cheese it on like item level 20 gear or item level 50 or whatever for, you know, whatever maybe you find that's high enough spell damage on shields. I don't think that's necessary. But I feel like maybe on item level 68 or 70 or something, it could be that whatever you're getting in a tier 1 map, you can do like, instead of it being, let's say, what is it, 70 or 90 per craft, it can be like 10 or 15. So that in one harvest in tier 1, you get, you know, 6 or 7 crafts for the gear you're using for that tier. However, if you like want to craft on item level 86 gear or item level 82 or like higher tier, you only get 1 or 2. This actually would solve the entire problem. There will be some cheese issues where, for example, well, maybe on amulets, you don't care about the fact that you can get item level 84 gear, and you really want to do item level 75 instead, because maybe it'll be twice as easy to get +1 amulets. There will be some cheese scenarios like that. But I feel like that's a better solution than currently, because I would say that's the most unenjoyable thing about the game right now. I just feel very pigeonholed on gear. I would love to hear from people in the comments, especially softcore players, if you feel like item progression is the main issue with the game right now. Because at least for me, like Arch Nemesis isn't the biggest issue. Loot isn't the biggest issue. And especially like it does make it a little bit sense to reduce the rarity on unique gear and stuff because they did buff a lot of them. So I don't mind that and I'll get used to that. But like for me, gear progression is just ruining Path of Exile for me right now. It is a self-imposed thing. I'm solo self-on. But like I played hardcore this league, just trade league, and I didn't feel like it was much better. Is this just a hardcore problem? Is it just a solo self-on problem? Let me know like what league you play and what you feel is like the biggest issue for you, or if you agree or disagree with what I'm saying. But I feel like that would solve a lot of issues, at least like just scaling harvest. That's what I would like to see. So thanks for watching. Sub if you liked the video and try to die less than I do. They're announcing PoE 2 at ExileCon. That's why they're doing an ExileCon, obviously. This is what's gonna happen. We're gonna go to ExileCon, and then at ExileCon, Chris Wilson's gonna come out on stage. It's gonna go like, and with that said, I'm happy to announce that everybody here today can play PoE 2 right now. The beta starts, the public beta starts in 2 weeks. And we're launching this December. That's what's gonna happen.